Welcome to our 5th video journal of Avengers Campus at Disney California Adventure Park. Today is October 5th, 2019.
As you can see, more ductwork has been installed since we've been here last. On September 26, we watched workers set up support posts for the ducts, as we see here. Now I'll dissolve the picture back to what it looks like today. Next we'll go and picture our pal around to see what we can observe from that perspective. On the top of the Avengers headquarters building, workers are continuing to weld beams together. And this worker over here is adding protective coating to the beams for corrosion protection. Now if we slide to the left, we can see that a concrete boom pump has been brought in. The arm of the pump is extending down to the ground level between these two buildings. The concrete is being added, possibly for the foundation of one of the buildings. Now let's focus our attention here. It's possible that this location will be the restrooms. We haven't heard officially yet, but this building was the restrooms in A Bug's Land. So it makes sense that it'll stay the same. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Here's what it looked like when it existed in A Bug's Land. Notice the flat roof. Now we'll view what the building looked like last week. As I dissolve the picture back to what it looks like today, notice that the building's roof is transforming from a flat to a gable roof. And it's interesting, this is the only building in Avengers Campus so far that the structural framework is wood. All the other buildings are steel. Now if we look at the side of the Spider-Man show building, we can see that stacks of insulated roof panels are being transported to the top. Here we have a good view of the ductwork that has already been installed. If we look down on the ground level in front of the Spider-Man show building, we can see that supplies have been brought in. And if we look closely, we can see metal framework. We'll observe it on the ground level to get a better view. From this perspective, we can see that there's quite a variety of different types of framework. And there's more in the background as well. Alright, now we're in Cars Land, and in the distance we can see that workers are continuing to add the protective coating to the beams of the headquarters building. Over from this perspective, we can see that the arm of the concrete boom pump is moving to a new location. We'll go over by the Guardians of the Galaxy attraction to see if we can get a better view. Alright, here we are, and it looks like they're done adding the concrete. As you can see here, the hose end of the concrete boom pump is positioned in a hopper of a concrete truck. So the excess concrete is being transferred to the truck for storage and mixing. It is really hard to see from this angle, but it's identical to what we saw after concrete was added to column footings for the Rise of the Resistance show building during the Galaxy's Edge construction, as seen here. If we look to the left a little bit, we have a good view of the Avengers headquarters building. Notice these beams sticking out from the top. This area can be recognized on the concept art. And the beams are located right here. This worker is continuing to weld beams. The worker on the left-hand side is using an electric bolt wrench to tighten bolts, making sure the beams are securely fastened. Next, if we look at the front of the building, we can see the support framing for the edge of the building. On the concept art, it is located here. Notice that the framing at the top is sticking out more than the bottom. This will create a slant in the side panels, as we can see in the concept art. This worker that we see is located approximately here on the building. He's using an angle grinder to put a smooth finish to a beam. And he's doing this more than likely to get rid of some of the excess weld. Now if we look above this worker on the top of the building, located approximately here on the concept art, we can see that the iron workers wrote something on the beam. The iron workers on the project are the Iron Workers Local 433 of Los Angeles. If we get a different angle, we can see that they wrote something else on the beam as well. It says the real superheroes.
Today's October 10th, 2019.
And as you can see, we're over by the Guardians of the Galaxy attraction, and if we look to the right, we can see that workers are continuing to work on the headquarters building. This iron worker is welding steel decking into place. From this angle, in the distance, we can see workers on top of the Spider-Man show building. They're performing duct work, applying duct sealant to the ducts. And this sealant will help prevent leaks in the ducts. This is important to help minimize room-to-room pressure imbalances and help save energy in the long run. We'll go over to the opposite side of the building to get a different perspective. If we get a different angle, we can see that more support posts for the ducts have been put in place. And if we look down, we can see that more ducts have been brought in to be installed. Behind Cars Land, the ironworkers are continuing to work on the headquarters. They're welding beams together for the platform where the Quinjet will eventually be placed. Next, we'll go and Pixar Pal around to see the construction from that perspective. At the Spider-Man show building, we have a good view of the support post that we saw from the ground level. Now looking at the Web Suppliers building, workers are in the process of laying out roof panels. As you can see here, the Pin Test Kitchen building has scaffolding added to the side. This will allow the workers to create the front entrance of the building, as seen here in the concept art. Now, if we focus our attention to the headquarters building, we have a great view of the decking that has been laid out on the top level. As we can see here, a worker is continuing to weld the decking into place, while other workers are continuing to perform beam work for the Quinjet platform. On the second level, workers are in the process of putting welded wire mesh on top of the decking, just like we saw done for the Spider-Man show building back in part 1. This mesh is used to reinforce concrete. Once it's added, it will give the concrete structural strength. In the long run, it'll help minimize cracking in the concrete. Phase 1 of Avengers Campus is definitely coming along. Well, that's a taste of things to come.
We can't wait to see what they build next.